The skyline of Dubai has always been a statement. Precision, ambition, control, glass towers rising from desert ground, engineered symmetry against natural extremes. A city designed not just to function, but to be seen. And at the center of it all, a structure built to dominate perception itself, the Burj Khalifa. Not just the tallest building ever constructed, but a symbol of global ambition, of engineered possibility, of human intention pushing beyond limits. For years, it stood as the ultimate destination, a place people didn't just visit, they planned for, they anticipated it. They imagined it long before arrival, but something has changed, not suddenly, not visibly, not dramatically, quietly, gradually, systematically, almost unnoticed. Visitor behavior has shifted, engagement patterns have evolved, and beneath the surface, the data tells a different story. Before we go further, if you value content that breaks down real systems without hype, like the video, subscribe, comment your thoughts, and share it, because this kind of analysis depends on viewers like you. This is not about decline, not about structural failure, not about an isolated event. This is about systems under pressure, and how even the most iconic structures respond when the environment around them changes. To understand this shift, you need to step back from the building itself and look at the system it exists within, because the Burj Khalifa is not just architecture. It is part of a larger framework, a framework built on attention, on perception, on global tourism dynamics. Every visitor represents more than presence. They represent demand. They represent relevance. They represent continued validation. Under stable conditions, this system operates in balance. Tourists arrive consistently. Experiences meet expectations. Value is reinforced, and the cycle continues. But systems like this rely on one fragile element, perception. And perception is not fixed, it evolves. Over the past decade, that evolution has begun to accelerate, not in a way that creates headlines, but in a way that creates patterns. And patterns reveal truth. What analysts have observed is not a dramatic drop. There are still visitors, still queues, still global interest. But the nature of that interest is changing. Fewer repeat visits, less time spent at observation levels, reduced emotional impact reported in visitor feedback. These are not visible shifts, but they are measurable. And measurable changes matter. Because they indicate direction. To understand why this is happening, you need to understand how modern exposure works. The Burj Khalifa is one of the most photographed and most recorded structures in human history. Billions of views, millions of videos, endless repetition across platforms. This visibility created its global status, but it also created something else. Familiarity, and familiarity changes perception. A first-time visitor in the early years experienced uncertainty. The height was difficult to imagine. The view was unknown. The experience felt unpredictable. It created anticipation. It created emotional impact. It created memory. But today, that same visitor arrives differently. They have already seen the skyline, already watched the elevator ascent, already experienced the view. Digitally, the visit becomes confirmation, not discovery. And that difference is critical because discovery creates value. Confirmation maintains it, but rarely increases it. This is where the system begins to shift. Events like this follow a chain reaction. First, global saturation. The landmark becomes universally recognized. Its uniqueness becomes widely shared. Second, expectation stabilization. Visitors arrive with fixed mental images. There is little left to surprise them. Third, emotional compression. The experience becomes shorter, less impactful, more routine. Fourth, behavioral adjustment. People begin seeking new experiences, different environments, more interactive systems. Individually, each step appears minor. Together, they create a directional shift, a shift away from passive observation toward active engagement. This does not mean the Burj Khalifa is losing relevance. It means the definition of relevance is changing. Another pressure point is global competition. Cities are no longer competing on height alone. They are competing on experience, immersive environments, interactive observation platforms, augmented reality integrations. These are not necessarily taller structures, but they are more engaging. And engagement is becoming the dominant metric. The Burj Khalifa remains unmatched in height, but height is now one variable among many. Let's address a misconception. Some assume this is temporary, a short-term shift in tourism cycles. But long-term behavioral data suggests a deeper transformation. Tourism is evolving from observation to participation, from viewing to experiencing, from static to dynamic. People no longer want to simply look at a skyline. They want to feel connected to it, interact with it, influence their experience within it. Static observation, even at extreme scale, has natural limits. This does not reduce the importance of the Burj Khalifa. It changes its role from primary attraction to foundational landmark, from destination to a reference point. And that distinction matters because systems allocate attention differently based on role. Looking forward, the implications extend far beyond one building. If current trends continue, we may see increased investment in immersive architecture, declining emphasis on passive observation decks, redefinition of what makes a landmark valuable not instantly, not dramatically, but steadily. And systems respond to steady change more than sudden events. Urban planners will adapt. Developers will adjust strategies. Tourism models will evolve because economic systems follow perception, and perception is already shifting. The Burj Khalifa itself remains unchanged. The structure is stable. Engineering systems function as designed. Operational standards remain high. Nothing physical has weakened, but its position within the global system is evolving, and that evolution is natural. Every system reaches a point where growth transitions into stability, and stability eventually transitions into adaptation. This is that phase, not decline, not failure, adaptation. So how should this be understood? Not emotionally, not reactively, but analytically focus on measurable patterns. Observe long-term behavior. Separate perception from reality. Ask precise questions. What is changing? What is driving that change? What does it indicate about the future? Because signals like this do not announce themselves loudly. They emerge quietly, and they reshape systems over time. There is a certain stillness at the top of the Burj Khalifa. Above the movement, above the noise, the city continues below. Uninterrupted, unaware, the structure stands exactly as it always has, unmoved, unchanged, unquestioned physically, but experientially. Something has shifted, something subtle, something measurable, something that cannot be seen, but can be understood. This was not a crisis, not a failure, not a collapse. It was a signal, a quiet signal. The kind that does not demand attention, but rewards those who notice it. If you found this kind of breakdown useful, like the video, subscribe, comment your perspective, and share it. Because understanding systems is more valuable than reacting to headlines. Because in the end, the real question is not what happened. The real question is, what happens next?